Evening, everyone. Before I call this public meeting of council to order for June 4th, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge on behalf of council and the entire community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. I'd call this public meeting of council to order. Are there any disclosed pecuniary interests in respect to the agenda items on this agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of this agenda. I have Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? That is carried. New business. The first and only item up under new business is Z-7 2024, which is 336 Patricia Avenue. Okay, this meeting has been called to consider the application under the City of Pembroke zoning bylaw 2020-05 to rezone the property municipally known as 336 Patricia Avenue from a residential type 1 type R1 zone to residential type 2-37 zone. I'd ask the clerk to please report on how notice was given.
Notice was given by mail to all owners of the property within a 120-meter radius of the subject land by email to all applicable agencies and was posted on site on May 6, 2024.
Thank you. I'd ask for a planning report from Colleen Sorio, the Director of Planning, Building and Bylaw regarding this application.
Good evening. The applicant, Rhonda Butler, has submitted an application proposing a semi-detached dwelling on her property at 336 Patricia Avenue, which is currently vacant land. The property is zoned R1, and that zone does not permit a semi-detached dwelling house, thus the need for the rezoning. So the proposed R2-37 zoning is required to, 1, permit the semi-detached dwelling house, as well as to provide site-specific relief in the following areas, which would be minimum lot frontage. So the zoning bylaw requires a 65.6-foot lot frontage, and there's an existing 65-foot lot frontage. So relief is only in 0.6 feet from the frontage. Relief is required from the rear yard setback. The zoning bylaw requires a 25-foot setback, and the proposed development is showing a 20-foot setback. Relief is required from the exterior side yard setback. The zoning bylaw requires 12 feet, and the proposal is for 9 feet. And the parking area location or driveways, relief is required in the amount of 4.5 feet because there's only supposed to be a maximum of 19.5 feet for driveways, and they would like to see 24 feet for driveways, 12 feet on each side. All other R2 provisions for semi-detached are met or exceeded, and that includes the lot area, lot depth, and a minimum front yard setback and interior side yard. The proposed R2-37 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area. To the south of the property, properties in the Patricia Avenue McRae Street subdivision are all zoned R2 with a mixture of semi-detached and single detached dwellings. At the very southern ends of Patricia Avenue are 2 10-unit row house dwelling units. And to the near west of the property is Morris Street, lined with semi-detached dwellings and row dwellings in R3 zones. The proposed R2-37 zoning can be viewed as a gentle transition between the R1 zones to the north and east and the higher density zones to the south and the west. The parking requirements are met for this particular requirement, and as stated earlier, relief is required to allow each driveway to have a width of 12 feet. The property at 336 Patricia Avenue is designated under the official plan as residential, and the official plan encourages all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing units. Residential intensification is also encouraged in built-up areas in the city. Further, the OP states that neighborhoods shall be maintained to include such facilities as a school, park, local shopping facilities, community center, and located within 1 kilometer of 336 Patricia Avenue is 4 schools, 2 parks, Pembroke Mall, Pembroke Regional Hospital, and Care for Health and Community Services. This development will be connected to municipal water and sewer services, And it's also located within 150 meters of Bell Street, which is designated as a collector road in the official plan. So it provides for good vehicular transportation links to the east end of the city, as well as the remainder of the city via Bell Street, McKay Street, and River Road. This development meets the intent of the provincial policy statement in that it promotes intensification and provides for a mix of housing options and densities. So the Planning Department is recommending the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment application for 336 Patricia Avenue from R1 to R2-37, as the application is in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw, meets the directives of the official plan and the provincial policy statement.
Ms. Sorio, is there anyone in opposition of the application?
I'd like to say something, though.
So if you could please come up and indicate your name and your address, and then you can address council. There you go.
Thank you. My name is Doug Hillman. I live right next door to the vacant lot, and we would like to say tonight that we would accept all the conditions provided the city supplies us in writing that no more than 2 tenants or leases be signed on this property, known as 316 Patricia. Also, we'd like to have the property looked after until they build, because the previous owner looked after it. It was immaculate, and there's stuff growing up in it now that doesn't look very good. In any case, is that it? I think that's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition that wishes to come up and indicate their comments? Seeing none. Ms. Sorio, is there anyone in support of the application?
The applicant, Ms. Rhonda Butler, is here this evening. She is willing to take any questions, but she's satisfied with the report as presented. If the council has any, or committee has any questions, she'd be willing to answer.
Questions for the applicant? I'm wondering if the applicant can wave, because I don't know Ms. Butler. There we go. Okay, thank you. Is there any particular questions of council members of the applicant, instead of the applicant just simply speaking to the application? Seeing none, I'd ask for a report from the Chair of Planning and Development Committee of Council regarding the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee comments for this particular application.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. At the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting, Ms. Butler was there, and all members of the committee were in favor of the proposal. As we all know, is Canada's population, the province's population, and the population of the city of Pembroke continues to grow. Housing projects of this nature are much needed and much required. And as it meets the provincial policy statement, I believe that the the committee had no issues with approving the application. This will provide much-needed jobs and homes in the area. And as the individual was here in opposition about the property standards, et cetera, I think that's a very valid point. And in regards to the number of people, I don't know how we would address that through you, Mr. Mayor, to Colleen. Can we limit the number of people living within that particular property based on what has been prescribed?
I would have to check with our legal firm just to make sure, because of the province's mandate is to allow 3 units per lot. So you can have 2 units in the house and 1 in the backyard. You can have 3 units in the house. And that's provincially mandated. We don't have a say on that, unfortunately. So I would like to get a legal opinion on that to see if we could put something in writing.
Just thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Giacono. Is there any questions from members of council? Seeing none. If anyone wishes to be notified of council's decision, please contact Ms. Sorio at City Hall. And I'd entertain a motion to adjourn not only this particular matter, but the public meeting of council. I have the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? That is carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Development Committee meeting of Tuesday, June the 4th, 2024. The disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof, are there any at this time? Seeing none. The approval and amendment of the meeting agenda, moved by Councillor Fernier, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Questions? Those in favor? Against? It is adopted. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of May 7th, 2024, the Planning and Development Committee, moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Fernier. Questions? Those in favor? Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Do we have any business arising from the previous minutes? Seeing none. Presentations and delegations. I believe that His Worship has some words and a presentation to make this evening. Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if Mr. Blackstein would come up. Most will likely recall that the Pembroke waterfront initially had a very meek persona in the city of Pembroke. Some might even argue not much better than it was simply a byproduct of very early days of the history of the city of Pembroke as a lumber town. Enter Mayor Les Scott, followed by Mayor Bob Pilot. And as I understand it, the millennium was fast approaching and there was much enthusiasm and it began to build for a project worthy of such a monumental event. The Pembroke waterfront was chosen as that monumental project. Enter Fred Blackstein. Fred Blackstein is one of the most humble people that I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Fred has many outstanding characteristics. One of those characteristics is Fred's ability to have a vision, and equally important is the ability to get the job done. He has an ability to foster enthusiasm among everyone, and that is what he did. As Fred has told me on more than one occasion, the Pembroke waterfront was built by the people, for the people. This is one quote that I simply cherish. The other quote that always comes to mind when speaking about volunteerism is the quote, "Volunteers are not paid not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless." And we know all too well, last night we had the awards for civic and as well as for youth. This quote is very fitting today as well, as Pembroke's waterfront has constructed by volunteers, businesses, and donations from individuals and businesses, and is genuinely given by the community. In honor of the contributions by Mr. Blackstein, a street was named after him. Again, I and others have noted in recent past that when discussing phase 2 of the waterfront development, that again, Mr. Blackstein came to the forefront, that Fred would shy away from referring to this street that was named after him. Fred Blackstein Boulevard was officially named in 2001 by bylaw 2001-25. Then we fast forward to January 18th of this year. I received an email from Fred Blackstein for council's consideration to rename the street to First Responders Way. And at first I was surprised by the request when I shouldn't have been. There was a request totally in keeping with Fred Blackstein's character. Upon further reflection, it made abundant sense to me and to the members of council to rename the street with Fred's blessing. However, it is very important to never lose sight of the past when looking to the future. It is equally, if not more important, to not lose sight of those that have advanced our community and to acknowledge that in some way, shape, or form. To that end, we, the City of Pembroke, have relocated Fred Blackstein Boulevard sign, one of them, to a prominent place at the Pembroke waterfront to acknowledge the huge contributions that Fred has made to the community that we love, being the City of Pembroke. In addition to this continued public display of recognition of Fred's contributions to our community, it is my pleasure to present this evening to Fred one of the signs that came from the Pembroke waterfront as a token of our appreciation for everything that you have done. It doesn't come to compare to everything that we can do for you, but thank you.
Well, I'll take 45 seconds tops.
You need the mic.
Here, there you go.
I would begin by saying, now I'll be able to find my driveway at home at night. I just want to offer a few comments in respect to the name change. I've had the privilege for the last 40 years of working with all of our first responders. By coincidence, I'm an OPP certified search and rescue expert. I'm a member of the paramedic service by honorary degree and invested by the chief some years ago. I've responded to dozens and dozens of wilderness emergencies with our fire department, with our paramedics, and with our police officers. And I have a somewhat different perspective than the average citizen on what these first responders face on a daily basis. It was therefore for that reason that I felt it would be appropriate on First Responders Day, May 1st of this past year, that Pembroke should become the first street in the country. And we've now confirmed there is no other First Responders Avenue, Boulevard, anywhere in the country. So I think what this says to our first responders, not only this council, but future councils, that generations of first responders will know you care. John Yakubuski, during the dedication, said they have our backs, and I think it's excellent to know that our first responders know you have their backs. So thank you very much. Campbell Monuments is going to be quite annoyed when I cancel the order on my headstone.
Okay, look here, smile. One more. One more, cheese. That's right. Good. There you go.
Wait, my neighbor.
Yes, now I'll know where you like it.
And I want to say I feel quite old tonight because Chief Sell's father and I have done a number of first responder incidents together. And here he is. Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well done. Number 7, new business, Our Lady of Lourdes Daycare request for relief of securities. Ms. Soriel.
A request has been received from Steve Webster of JP2G Consultants on behalf of the Renfrew County Catholic School Board. And that's to reduce or waive the site plan agreement securities. So when a new development is proposed, a developer is required to enter into a site plan agreement. And a site plan agreement has been entered into with the city and the school board for a daycare center at Lourdes School. So it's going to be built right at the corner of Champlain Street and Clemau. So as part of the site plan process, municipalities require a security deposit to ensure all terms of the site plan agreement have been fulfilled. So the city requires a 50% security deposit in the form of a post-dated check dated to the date when all site plan agreement conditions are to be fulfilled. Recently, the city received a legal opinion from the law firm of Cunningham Swan regarding the need for securities in new subdivisions. And that legal opinion stated that if the city does not take security, it will be liable for completing the servicing and other conditions as stated in the site plan agreement in the event the developer goes bankrupt. So the same would be said for a site plan agreement. Also, site plan agreements were recently entered into with the Conseil des Écoles Publiques de l'Est de l'Ontario in 2022 for a daycare, and with the Renfrew County District School Board in 2020 for rerouting of bus parking and additional parking, vehicle parking along with a kiss and ride lane. And securities were required and provided by both of those school boards. The amount of the exterior work required for the daycare and for the parking lot changes on the south side of the school total $731,000 and change. So a 50% security deposit would be $365,655.50. So your direction is required this evening in regard to whether to waive the securities or to allow them to remain.
Comments, Your Worship? Councillor Keel, Councillor Fernier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad to see that this school, and I know that a number of schools are taking it seriously in reference to dealing with issues, whether it be picking up and dropping off in terms of school buses and so forth. And we had an excellent report by Mr. Lewis recently in terms of around the schools and trying to address safety and so forth. Having said that, I don't believe that we can, or at least I cannot support the particular request, and I would move that the request being advanced be declined.
We do have a motion on the floor. Is there a seconder? And we'll continue with the discussion. Seconded by Councillor Purcell. Those in favor to proceed with the discussion? Very good. Councillor Keel, Councillor Fernier,
The mayor having stole words from my mouth, I'll just, I'll skip having comment. Other school boards have provided it, and certainly I don't want to see our taxpayers on the hook for anything. Not that I think a school board's going to go bankrupt, but again, I think it's just, it's good practice to be fair to everybody.
thank you. Councillor Fernier,
It's been covered. Thank
Okay.
you.
further? Anybody else? If not, then I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item B, request for signed bylaw relief of 1036 Pembroke Street East ground sign.
Just so that you're aware, 1036 Pembroke Street East is the new Popeyes location. So we've received a sign permit from Boyd Signs for a sign for that particular property. They indicated in the original site plan that it was to be a pylon sign. And a pylon sign, according to our sign bylaw, is placed upon poles, and the sign has to be the bottom of the sign can't be closer than 8 feet to the ground. No setbacks are required for pylon signs, as visibility is not obscured, is not obstructed at all. But based on the new plans that were submitted, it was determined that the proposed sign is closer to the definition of a ground sign. So, and a ground sign is any sign directly supported by the ground without the aid of any other building or structure. So unlike a pylon sign, a ground sign requires a setback of 1.5 meters from the applicable property line because it can obstruct visibility. The planning department noted the proposed sign did not meet the following requirements for a ground sign. The maximum height of a ground sign can't be higher than 8 feet, and the proposed height are 2.4 meters, and the proposed height is 7.11 meters. And the maximum area is not to be more than 5 square meters, and the proposed sign has an area of 19.32 square meters. However, based on the submission, the planning department does support this request because the proposed setback of the sign from the front property line is 3.12 meters, more than double the standard of the 1.5 meters for a ground sign. This increased setback ensures that sight lines at the roadway are not impacted by the configuration of the ground sign. And also, this sign's configuration and placement has already been approved by the Ministry of Transportation. Because it's on Highway 148, they require permission and a permit, and they've already received that from MTO. And the sign is visually pleasing, and it can be seen far away and attract more people to this business. So that's the reason why they would like this size of the sign. So as such, the planning department recommends that relief from the sign bylaw be granted to 1036 Pembroke Street East to allow for a ground sign with a setback of 3.12 meters from the front property line, with a maximum height of 7.11 meters and a maximum area of 19.32 square meters.
thank you. Comments, Councillor Keel, Councillor Purcell?
So I will, let's start with the motion. I move that we approve the sign as recommended by the
Moved on the floor,
department.
seconded by Councillor Purcell. Thank you.
So in terms of commentary, I think in speaking with Colleen yesterday, well, this week's really really going by. I mean, really, what this is it's sort of a pylon sign meets a ground sign, and they produce something sort of in between the two of them. So I think it's visually pleasing, frankly, based on what we've been shown. There are a number of significantly large signs out that way. The Pembroke Mall sign is quite towering. The Walmart is not in Pembroke, but barely a stone's throw down the road with a very large sign. So I think in terms of a highway commercial district, it fits in, frankly, with what we see there. The only other comment that I do want to make, and perhaps anyone else that speaks could maybe jump in. I think it might be time for us to. It's been a number of years, I think, to look at our sign bylaw and possibly look at whether there's areas maybe that we could deregulate a little so that a number of these things aren't necessarily coming back to us. So I'd love to hear from other councillors if maybe that's something to add to Miss Colleen's, I'm sure, very, very short list of things to do. But I approve of this sign for today.
Seconder, Councillor Purcell, do you have a comment? And then Councillor Fernier.
Just that I have reassurance that it's already been approved by transportation in terms of the 148 reconstruction. So I think seeing that previous approval has already been provided, and it's a hybrid between, the pylon sign and the the other sign, which is the ground sign. So it's more of a hybrid, you're right. So I have really no concerns. It seems to meet all the requirements, and it actually fits the area, so really no
Further
concerns.
comments? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Purcell. I'll call the question. Those in favor? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item C, outdoor patio encroachment request for 53 Pembroke Street West. Ms. Soriel.
Request has been received from Good Foods Inc., who's a tenant at 53 Pembroke Street West, to allow an outdoor patio to encroach onto the city sidewalk. The outdoor patio has been erected without permission. The applicant has added a wooden fence which encloses the patio. The outdoor patio will encroach onto city property by a width of 21 feet along the front of the building, and the depth of the outdoor patio is 5.58 feet. Upon inspection of the site, the Pembroke Street West sidewalk is approximately 11.81 feet to 12.47 feet wide at this location. So if the applicant is permitted to encroach the requested amount, then there would be approximately 6.2 feet to 6.89 feet of sidewalk remaining to the curb, and which is considered accessible. So the applicant wishes to operate a sidewalk cafe during the months of May through October. And the city's encroachment agreement states that if Good Foods Inc., they would be responsible for the continued maintenance and repair of the outdoor patio at 53 Pembroke Street West, and they agree not to hold the city responsible for any damage which may occur to the outdoor patio as a result of normal construction or maintenance on Pembroke Street West. The Fire Department, Operation Department, and Planning and Building Departments have reviewed the request. The Fire Department had no concerns, and the Operations Department has concerns about how the patio was erected. The patio was bolted directly onto the city's sidewalk. I thought there were 14 Tapcon screws, but there are approximately 20 Tapcon screws that are screwed into the city's sidewalk. Upon speaking with the manager of operations and the supervisors of road and fleet, it is being recommended that the city's operation department fill these holes and charge the cost back to the applicant. It does not matter to the operations department when the bolts are filled, either now or at the end of the patio season. So one of the questions that would be part of the motion is if you agree to allow the outdoor patio and enter into an encroachment agreement, would the committee allow the patio to be bolted to the sidewalk until the end of the patio season in October of 2024? And then next year, the Good Foods would have to construct a different type of patio that would not require bolting the structure to the city sidewalk. Snow plowing, again, will not be an issue, as it was only operating through May through October. The applicant has paid the encroachment fee of $450 plus HST. I would just like to say, when the applicant was aware that there was an issue with the encroachment, with the patio, we did call, they did provide us with a site plan, and they did pay their fee, no issues. So, and Mr. Dennis Labossiere is here this evening representing Good Foods, Inc. So.
Deputy Mayor, you have a question? Other members of council?
I have a motion.
A motion?
I'll just have a comment before I make it. So these are new residents to Pembroke, a year and a half ago, live in town, chose Pembroke over a lot of other places they could live. I've had numerous conversations with them, opened a business downtown, which a lot of us were at the opening, a different type of idea, mostly takeout food, but they have a patio. Patio was erected without notice to the city, but as soon as they found out, they paid the fee, and they had the site plan available within a couple of days. So I'm going to motion that we accept the recommendation to approve the encroachment agreement with the provision that the FN Foods Incorporated pay for the cost of filling the holes in the fall, and then next year they come up with a different, they don't use the bolts anymore, they come up with a different arrangement to secure the patio to the sidewalk in consultation with the city.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Purcell. Further questions? Councillor Keel, Councillor Fernier. Plummer?
So I want to start off by saying that I am fully supportive of having this patio there, 100%. I also think it looks great. To be honest, in a contest of the patios downtown, this one is looking colorful and vibrant, and I certainly think it adds, it adds to the downtown. It's noticeable. Procedurally speaking, I have a personal problem with this. Last year, the grind came to us after a patio situation, and we sat around this table and a number of us pointed out that we didn't like the idea that residents are coming to us seeking forgiveness instead of asking for permission first. I have significant concerns that the city of Pembroke is developing a reputation that you should, and I've heard this before being a councillor, that you should give something a try, and if you get caught, they're only going to make you submit the application anyway. So, from my perspective, and certainly, Denny, I hope you don't take this personally, I would support this patio, but I'm going to make it clear that I'm not going to pick and choose when I decide to grant forgiveness or not. It is going to be my position around this table forever, for however long that I'm here. I will not support applications that are currently in an illegal position. So it would be my position that the patio should have to be deconstructed, and then the owner should have to come to us through the appropriate process. At that point, you would have my 100% complete support. I look forward to sitting out on your patio at some point, but for me, and maybe it's the lawyer in me, and I know sometimes Pat says, Ian, that lawyer in you, but for me, process matters, and I want to be fair, and the only way that I think I could be fair to people is to say that when somebody does something that they shouldn't have, I'm not going to look at the application and give it approval until such time as they fix their current default. So that's going to be my process sitting around this table, but I do hope one way or another that this patio is there in the future. I won't be supporting it now purely because of my procedural concern.
Councillor Fernier.
So I hear Councillor Keel loud and clear. We pick and choose which ones we make tear down their structure because they didn't get approval, and I don't agree with that either. What I'm suggesting is I don't like the idea that there was bolts screwed right into the sidewalk, and I don't like the idea of leaving it till the fall to fix them. I mean, when you drill into the sidewalk, if they're not fixed before winter, I mean, water's gonna get in there, there's gonna be further damage from the water freezing inside these holes. I would prefer to see it removed, the holes fixed and paid for right away, and then they can put their patio back up. If it was done the way it should have been done, they probably would have been advised that the patio should not be secured into our sidewalk. So I guess that's my reasoning. I tend to agree with Councillor Keel, though. Picking and choosing who we decide to, force into abiding by our bylaws is not the way to run a city either. I think that you either have to have a policy for pre-approval or not. But no, I'd rather see the holes fixed and then they can put their patio back up. That's my opinion. I think it looks great too, but I didn't like the idea it's drilled right into our sidewalk.
Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Chair. I support the Deputy Mayor's motion in the approval of the patio. I agree that it should not be fixed with the city's opinion of the bolts or the tap-cons in the sidewalk, but as tap-cons are in already, it's not causing any further damage. It's not going to deteriorate. It's once the bolts are removed, then as long as they're filled before winter, there's no further risk of damage to the sidewalk. It's already been damaged now. Thanks.
So we have a mover on the floor. Who's the seconder? Councilor Purcell, let's speak.
No additional comment. I hear what, the councilors are saying in regards to, do we pick and choose? I think this was done in haste and in error. I think there's other situations where certain organizations have done it multiple times. So I think that's the difference. I guess, and I want to make sure that, if there's a discrepancy in terms of a building code or a building requirement, are we going to have the individual tear it down before we actually issue a building permit for a structure if they went ahead and proceeded? I just don't know if that's the right way to go.
Thank you. Ms. Soriel, I understand the enthusiasm a new business comes to, our community. They want to set up. They have the best butter tarts in town. I've been in there. My waistline will show that. But again, perhaps it's a matter of communication. Enthusiastically, they went ahead, perhaps not, I'm not defending them, I'm just saying, they went ahead, say, there's a patio over there, this would be great for our business, and they went ahead and drilled some holes in the sidewalk, which I don't think is proper or correct either. Is there a way, have we missed the bullet, have we missed notifying people somehow that, when they come and apply for something, here's what you need to do? Have we dropped the ball, or is there a way that we may improve?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I mean, the PBIA is aware of our encroachment requirements as well. So if they're talking to the PBIA, if they're coming in and asking us about a patio, then we give them all the information. But in this particular case, they did go ahead. But when we did call them, like I said, they realized, their error, and they did provide the information that was requested in a very short period of time.
If I may, in that instruction to the owner, does it say you shall not affix this permanently to the sidewalk? Is that included in the statement, or would they have been a misinterpretation that they could do that?
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, they didn't ask. We didn't know about this patio until it was already in place.
All I was saying is any patio that maybe
Yes,
put up,
no, they're not supposed to. We would tell them that they're not supposed to.
but
affix
it's not in the instruction that you should not affix it permanently. Do we
it.
say
It would
that?
be in our verbal instructions,
It would be,
yes.
verbally.
Yes. Yes.
Verbally. Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So I represent the city on the PBA board. I will bring it up the next meeting about communication policy. And any new business that comes, we will have a information item letter. I'll propose that.
So may I just clarify now what we're going to be voting on? That we're voting to allow this particular structure to be in place? Is that what I'm hearing? Mr. Unrock, can somebody just verify that? There's been a lot of discussion.
So the motion was moved by Deputy Mayor Abdallah, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that the Planning and Development Committee recommends to Council that it approve an encroachment request to allow an outdoor patio with the provision that F and Good Foods fill the holes in the sidewalk at the end of the patio season.
Thank you. I'll call the question if there's no further comment. Those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against? The motion carries. Thank you. No further business before this particular assembly. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? We are adjourned.
Welcome to our June 4th Finance and Administration Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof? Seeing none. Motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Purcell. Those in favor? Carried. Approval of minutes from the Finance and Administration Committee of May 7th. We have Councillor Frenier, Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? Carried. Any business from those minutes? Seeing none. New business. We have our monthly guest, Chief Sell, Pembroke Fire Department report. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the monthly report for the month of May. So the Pembroke Fire Department has begun our smoke alarm campaign on McKay Street. We have prepared a formal letter outlining the goals and objectives of the campaign, which we're delivering to residents ahead of time. Obviously, the primary focus is smoke alarms, but we're also wanting to discuss topics such as careless smoking and escape planning for the families. Our inspections continue at the city churches, and each platoon does continue to work through their inspection portfolio. Our general smoke alarm program continues as well, and of course, the data for May is outlined further on in the report. Fire drill was conducted at Holy Name School, and staff conducted fire safety presentations to students at Cathedral and Champlain Discovery. The Pembroke Fire Department was honored to attend the unveiling of First Responders Way in the month of May, so I'd like to thank Mr. Fred Blackstein for his recognition of first responders and to the staff of Parks and Recreation for assisting in the ceremony. For this month, public safety messaging on Pembroke's Pure Country and MyFM Pembroke focused on Emergency Preparedness Week. This year's theme was Plan for Every Season, and we emphasized that emergency preparedness begins at home. We reminded residents to know the risks faced in their communities and make seasonally appropriate plans and build a seasonally appropriate kit. On our social media channels, the weather prompted us to continue to post a reminder of the rules surrounding recreational burning in the city, especially concerning the definition of what a dangerous condition is. We continue to share resources from Fire Smart Canada. We thanked all of our mothers and celebrated the 2 mothers on our team on Mother's Day and celebrated our firefighters of the month. We expressed our gratitude to Mr. Josh Wormke for his kindness, friendship, dedication, and selflessness to the Pembroke Fire Department and the many other causes he supports in the city. Many of our posts in May were dedicated to Emergency Preparedness Week. Several posts were released as the week approached. During the week, we kicked it off with a post in partnership with the OSPCA. So the Ontario Fire Chiefs Association has developed a partnership with Ontario SPCA over the last few years during Emergency Preparedness Week. So we took that one step further and joined with the Renfrew County Animal Center, and we developed a presentation that we presented on the first evening of Emergency Preparedness Week at the Pembroke Fire Department, which focused on preparing the whole family, including your pets, for emergencies. And I'll speak a little bit more on that in the future of the report. And then throughout the week, we release specific emergency preparedness messaging each day with a link to the topic so people could learn more about it. Our Facebook page reached 15,000 users. We engaged with 4,000 users, and we acquired 18 new followers in May. So we currently have 931 followers on our Facebook page. Our employee of the month, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work, dedication, and professionalism of Captain Chancey Calhoun. Captain Calhoun was instrumental in organizing the McKay Street Smoke Alarm Program and the inspection campaign. Excuse me. His assistance and effort in preparing this project is greatly appreciated. Volunteer of the month goes to volunteer firefighter Dave Straisman. Dave was the first volunteer firefighter on the scene at the Everett Street fire, and his support of the responding career firefighters was effective and outstanding. So congratulations to both Captain Calhoun and firefighter Dave Straisman. Staff attended the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs trade show in May. Acting Captain Kelly completed the commercial cooking inspections course under the Ontario Fire College. Acting Captain Zimmerman completed the Ontario Fire College course on Part 9 of the Fire Code. And I attended the sales culture workshop presented by John Pohl of MyFM. A follow-up inspection was conducted at Pinewood Retirement Residence, and the fire drill scenario was approved for Heritage Manor, who will be conducting the VO drill and inspection this coming month in June. The Emergency Operations Center training room, of course, it hosted our departmental meetings and training sessions. It also hosted the fire department in partnership with the Ontario SPCA, along with Good Dog Scarlet. That was the third part of our presentation that evening. So I focused on what families can do on the human level, and Good Dog Scarlet, she focused on what families can do to prepare their pets for not only for emergencies, but also during evacuations, what to expect when they are reporting to evacuation centers, etc. So it was the first time we tried anything like that, and I was quite happy with the turnout. It was roughly 20 people at the fire hall, so we hope to continue this next year. An update on the substance abuse in the area was provided by the working group put together by CAO UNRWA and Mayor Durbin. The operations department held 2 training sessions in the EOC in May. One was working from heights and the other was the chainsaw course. And then the grind and neighborhood strategic meeting was held in the month of May as well. The Pembroke Professional Firefighters Association once again donated to the Heroes Run for Healthcare. The association sponsors the Hero Capes for the run. The association also made their first of 2 donations in 2024 to Muscular Dystrophy Canada. So as I mentioned earlier, Emergency Preparedness Week ran from May 5th to May 11th this year, with the theme being planned for every season. Along with the social media messaging, displays were set up at City Hall and the library. This year, the CEMC, who's myself, visited a number of grade 4 classes in the city, along with several of the retirement homes. The Seniors Drop-In Center was visited, as well as Kiwanis. And at these locations, I delivered emergency preparedness presentations. There will be more presentations conducted in June. So in total, there was 187 adults and 154 children participated in 11 of these presentations over the Emergency Preparedness Week and the week preceding it. Emergency Preparedness Week came to a close with our information booth at the Community Expo. And thank you to all those who came out. And at the conclusion of the event, we gave away 6 emergency vehicle kits. Career training for May, we continued with the auto extrication training. And again, I'd like to thank AIM Recycling for providing us with the vehicles that we tear apart. The rest of the career training for the month of May is outlined in the report. Volunteer training focused on ladders on the fireground and small engines on the fireground. For the month of May, 31 new permits were issued under recreational open-air burning. We conducted 33 inspections, and there were 4 renewals for a total of $3,300, which brings the total number of permits to date to 69, and dollars collected $6,900. Our smoke alarm program in May, we conducted 19 smoke alarm inspections and tested a total of 43 alarms. There were 4 missing. 4 alarms were not working, 2 batteries were replaced, and overall 9 alarms were installed. And of those 9 alarms, 5 of them we issued invoices for cost recovery for the installation of those alarms. Inspections and consultations, we conducted a total of 141 inspections and consultations in the month of May. And we responded to a total of 37 responses in the month of May as well, with an estimated dollar loss of $17,000, and that is including 3 property fires in that. And then in May, there were no letters of warning issues, and we still have 1 outstanding fine, which is from 2023.
Thank you, Chief. Another busy month for the Pembroke Fire Department. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the Chief? Councillor Frenier?
Yes, good evening. And now I know that your officers firefighters receive all the necessary training and things like that. But I'm wondering, you know, when it comes to extra threats, when they come to a scene and not knowing exactly what's behind those walls, I'm referring to things like, you know, a meth lab or a facility that has a lot more hydro running through it than it should. Are they prepared every time they come to a scene, or is someone going to assess the situation, or like, because let's face it, there's more toxins. I know that they wear a mask and a breathing apparatus, but what kind of training do your firefighters receive when it comes to those types of calls for fires?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So that type of training is more on the fire officer side of the program. I know I mentioned some of the training in here that's on the fire prevention side. So from the beginning, we're fortunate in the position that we're in that all of our firefighters come in the door with a I don't want to say a minimum level of training, but they come in with a very good base. So that's where the training for what you had mentioned, that's where it begins. So from the onset, each firefighter is taught to be aware of what's going on. So we call it situational awareness. So that's embedded into a firefighter right from day one, and it escalates as they climb the ranks and as they gain experience, so that they're really focused on staying aware of what's going on around them. And then as they get into leadership roles, it's more about seeing the big picture. So as far as those instances that you spoke about, that is stuff that the officers are trained on, and that's what they're looking for when they get off the truck.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the chief? Well, thank you, Chief. Next item, we welcome Ms. McLaughlin for the report on the Carmody Street Water Main Replacement Tender Contract 24-5017A. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Operations Department recommends committee approve award for the Carmody Street Water Main Replacement Contract to Bonisher Excavating in the amount of $1,361,765.70 plus HST, and committee approve additional expenditures in the amount of $150,000 for a contingency allowance, for a total value of the recommendation equaling $1,511,765.70 plus applicable HST. The contract was publicly advertised and tendered with 4 bids received. Tenders were opened on Thursday, May 30th, 2024, and were evaluated by the city's purchasing manager, deputy treasurer, manager of operations, and JP2G Consultants, the design consultant for the project. Tenders were opened publicly and broadcast virtually and were received as follows. Bonisher Excavating in the amount of $1,361,765.70. Do-All Construction in the amount of $1,464,891.93. JWK Contracting in the amount of $1,494,972.35, and McRae Excavating in the amount of $1,655,946.32. The water main on Carmody Street has unknown flow restriction points, causing issues with the delivery of the required demand of water. The age of the material of the existing pipe is also causing staining of the water and difficulties maintaining residual levels without a significant flushing program being completed by operations staff. Construction works for this project are to begin in the week following the Canada Day long weekend and be completed during the school summer shutdown period, with works being completed before Labor Day weekend and the return to school. As approved at a previous council meeting, the city will be entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Renfrew County Catholic School Board for this joint project of works. As part of the 2024 capital budget, a budget of $750,000 was identified for this project. The city's portion of this project costs as tendered, including design, contract administration, construction, additional expenditures, and net HST, total $859,574.37, representing a budget shortfall of $109,574.37, which can be funded using reallocated funds from the water valve replacements and water distribution system pipe rehabilitation, which have a combined budget of $112,942. The above includes the award of contract administration services to JP2G Consultants, Inc. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions, comments, motions? Councillor Keel?
If we're reallocating the money from somewhere else, is something not getting done, or is that, sorry? You two finish up. No, seriously, you finish your thing.
There's going to be an amendment to the motion.
Okay. If we're reallocating funds from somewhere else, is something not getting done over there, or is this unallocated budgeted money?
So those two funds are capital funds used for large valve replacements throughout the city if required throughout the year. And the pipe system rehabilitation is used for unforeseen in-house water pipe replacements. But this winter was very kind to our water system, so we do have a surplus in both of those accounts currently.
And our confidence level that this will be done by the Labor Day weekend?
They have a pretty detailed schedule to which the consultant has reviewed and done through their tender review and seem pretty confident that we should be able to get it accomplished by then, yes.
Thank you as always, Mariel.
Purcell?
I guess my only comment is in terms of concerns, in terms of the budgeting shortfalls. So we still continue to see that. I just have concerns about that. Again, just want to make sure that, you know, we're fairly accurate in terms of the budgets that we have associated with the types of work. So I don't know if you can comment on that in terms of how we're going to, you know, increase the, I guess, the accuracy in terms of some of the budgeting going forward, especially when we're going to be talking about budgeting a schedule there later tonight, I guess for previous budgets, or for future budgets, sorry.
So Operations Department does try it each year when we do our budgets to go on this year's prices, and we try to add a buffer of another 10 and 20%, but not always can we account for all the increase in prices. But we do try our best to add a buffer on each year as we to try and increase our prices to be able to ensure we meet.
Councillor Keel?
Sorry, I'll move the motion that the committee approve the award for the Carmody Street Water Main Replacement Contract number 24-5017A to Bonashir Excavating in the amount of $1,361,765.70 plus HST, that the committee approve additional expenditures in the amount of $150,000 for a contingency allowance, and that the budget shortfall of $109,574.37 be funded from reallocating funds from water main valve replacement and water distribution system pipe rehabilitation, which have a combined budget of $112,942.
So before we get a seconder, CEO, do you have new information so that, okay. Seconder? You're seconding, Councillor Giacono. Motion on the floor to accept the recommendation as per the figures read by Councillor Keel. Those, any more discuss, oh, yes? Question?
Things always work out with roads, right? They're always on time, right? I'm being a little facetious. In the event that that particular street is not ready, what is the alternate traffic for the school to use with their buses, et cetera? Do we have a contingency plan?
We do not. We could, if it was very far to the product, we had a lot of unforeseen, we could come off of, what is this? Horace Street. We could do a temporary access through the school. The school's also doing some construction work at the same time. But we don't anticipate that
Thank
that
you.
will need to be
Thank
done.
you.
Any further discussion or questions? Call the question. Those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Oh, there's our treasurer. Welcome. We have item C, monthly accounts. We welcome our treasurer, Ms. Lochte. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening. The monthly accounts is provided for information and is presented for the months of October, November, and December, and staff consider them to be in order. Thank you.
There was a lot of accounts I had to scroll through to get the next item. Next item, 2025 budget timelines.
Thank you again. The draft 2025 budget timelines is presented tonight for approval. So as part of the 2024 budget schedule, a separate public meeting was introduced. So while this increased the opportunity for public input prior to the budget passing, this additional meeting did push the passing of the budget to the second meeting in February. In 2025, to allow for the budget to be passed by the first meeting in February and to better facilitate year-end closing activities of the Treasury Department, the draft 2025 budget schedule has day 1 and day 2 of budget deliberations occurring mid-December as opposed to the first week in January. So a copy of the detailed 2025 budget schedule is enclosed. The proposed day 1, day 2 budget deliberations is scheduled for December 10th and 11th. The public meeting for this budget would be presented essentially the second Tuesday in January, January 14th. Day 3 of budget deliberations would be held on the Thursday, January 16th, with formal adoption and passing scheduled for February 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any motions or comments or questions for the treasurer? Yes, Mr. Keel, or Councillor Keel.
Mr. Works. So are there any, I'm going to assume that there's not, but I do want to ask the question before I say that I absolutely love this schedule and think that it's even better than what I thought was a great budget season last year. Are there any concerns about moving it forward from any department heads or anything, or is this something we think we can handle? Because I think this looks great. I think the sooner we get to things, the better. I think not that February is a bad month to get stuff done, but again, I do believe that getting stuff sooner is better. And I suppose what I love most is Santa Claus comes right in the middle of this budget deliberation. So maybe maybe there'll be an extra gift or something. But no, I think this looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, I would move that we support this budget. If we need a motion, I would move that we support this budget schedule.
Keel, seconder, Councillor Purcell. Would you like to, you're seconding it?
Yeah, I would like to second,
speak?
but
Yeah,
also
go ahead.
just a comment in regards to, I know last year that we had a little bit of back and forth in regards to the county budget at the same time. Just understanding the county budget, is there a way that we could incorporate just a timeline in terms of meeting with the county, just to have a better understanding in terms of, the impacts that their services may have in terms of our budget deliberations? So there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of information where there were some surprises at the end in regards to the end result in regards to the rates that that impacted our residents. So I'm just wondering if we can work a little more closely with the county just to come up with some timelines where we'd have a better indication in terms of the impact that it would have on the municipality. And that I was seconded.
So through the chair, the city has in the past several years passed the city's budget before county has passed their budget. So typically, the county is always an estimate. We do have an adjustment to our numbers as well at the end of the year. So just because it's budgeted for a certain amount, they don't necessarily spend that amount as well. So that also comes in as a year-end adjustment. I do reach out to the treasurer before finalizing the budget, so certainly that will take place again this year. I guess the only difficulty is it's hard to know. Obviously, this past budget year, the county had a significant increase. One would hope that this year's budget will be a little more stable for them, but certainly if there is a concern that, there's still some big decisions on the table, then, on day 3, we can always propose to postpone the passing of our budget until the county if we feel that, there's still quite a big chunk of money at play by the county. So I would suggest, going with this at this time, and we can always reconsider on day 3 if we need to wait for their budget to pass before we finally pass ours.
Yeah, I think that might be wise, maybe just to keep that in our back pocket, because I know that, you know, for example, Renfrew County District Health Unit's been capped at 1% in terms of the funding increases. Well, when we recognize that it costs a lot more dollars to run that organization than the funds that are there currently there. So we expect that there's probably going to be, you know, a significant increase in terms of the municipality contribution this year, for an example. So I just want to make sure that we nail those down before we get into the final deliberation, so we have a really good understanding in terms of the impact that it has on our levies. Thank you.
Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, call the question. Motion to approve the 2025 budget schedule. Those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Kale, Councillor Plummer, those in favor? We are adjourned.
Evening, everyone. I'd like to call this council meeting to order for June 4th. I'd ask that everyone please take an opportunity to stand for an opening prayer and reflection. Before opening this meeting of council, I would ask those who wish, each in your own way, silently join in a prayer of guidance over these proceedings. Thank you. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in relation to this open portion of this meeting of council? Seeing none. Moving along to minutes. First, I'd entertain motions for the approval of the minutes of council. First is a special meeting of council, May 21st, 2024. I have the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Purcell. Those in favor? That is carried. The next set of minutes to move to approve is the regular meeting of council, same date, May 21st. I have Councillor Jacquino, second by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Adoption of minutes. First up is Planning and Development Committee. It was May 7th, 2024. I have Councillor Keel, second by Councillor Lafreniere. Those in favor? That is carried. Next is Finance and Administration Committee, May 7th, 2024. I have the Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next is receiving minutes from local boards. It's the Pembroke Public Library Board. We have a series of them, November 16th of last year, December 14th of last year, February 15th of this year, and April 18th of this year. So a motion to receive all of those minutes from the Pembroke Public Library Board. I have Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? Thank you. Moving forward to committee reports, we have Councillor Plummer, Finance and Administration Committee tender.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Jacquino, that tender number T245017A for Carmody Street water main replacement be awarded to Bonisher Excavating for the estimated contract value of $2,361,765.70 plus HST, and that additional expenditures in the amount of $150,000 be adopted for a contingency allowance of that the budget shortfall of $109,574.37 be funded from reallocated funds from water valve replacement and water distribution system pipe rehabilitation, in which a combined budget of $112,942. Total value of the recommended equal $1,511,765.70 plus applicable HST.
Thank you. Finance and Admin Committee begs to report and recommend from its meeting held earlier, moved by Councillor Plummer, second by Councillor Jacquino, that tender number T245017A for Carmody Street water main replacement be awarded to Bonisher Excavating for an estimated contract value of $2,361,765.70 plus HST, and that the additional expenditure in the amount of $150,000 be approved for a contingency allowance, and that the budget shortfall of $109,574.34 be funded from reallocated funds from the water main valve replacement and water distribution system pipe rehabilitation, having a combined budget of $112,942, and the total value of all recommendations equaling $1,511,765.70 plus applicable HST. Councillor Plummer, do you wish to speak to it?
This was just discussed earlier in the committee meeting.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Proclamations this evening. First is in respect to Seniors Month. By the virtue of the power vested in me, I do hereby declare the month of June 2024 as Seniors Month in the City of Pembroke. Whereas June is recognized as Seniors Month in Ontario and is an annual nationwide celebration, and whereas this year's theme is Working for Seniors, and whereas seniors have contributed and continue to contribute immensely to the life and vibrancy of this community, and whereas seniors continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important and active members of this community, and whereas their contributions, past and present, warrant appreciation and recognition, and their stories deserve to be told. And whereas the health and well-being of seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the health and well-being of the community. And whereas the knowledge and experience seniors pass on to us continues to benefit us all. Therefore, I, Ron Jerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2024 as Seniors Month and encourage all citizens to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors. As indicated, June is Seniors Month in Ontario. It is an opportunity to acknowledge and recognize the amazing seniors across the province and the positive impact that they make in our lives. The theme is Working for Seniors, which recognizes the importance of seniors keeping active, well, and safe in their communities. We all have seniors in our lives, whether they be friends, families, or colleagues, and please join me in recognizing June as Seniors Month by recognizing those seniors in our lives. With the indulgence of council, a second proclamation that I do hereby declare the month of June 2024 as Pride Month in the City of Pembroke, whereas the City of Pembroke values diversity and strives to be a safe and welcoming community for all, and whereas people who are two-spirited, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and gender diverse contribute greatly to all facets of our community, but continue to fight for acceptance and equality in our society, and whereas Pride Month is an opportunity to celebrate the progress being made to recognize and protect the rights of the LGBTQ2S+ communities, and to reflect on the work that still needs to be done. And whereas June is recognized as Pride Month and serves as an opportunity for members of the LGBTQ2S+ community, their loved ones, and allies to come together to celebrate who they are and who they love, while promoting the ongoing cause of acceptance, equality, and freedom for all. And whereas the City of Pembroke stands against discrimination in all forms and promotes human rights and dignity of all persons. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Ron Jerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, do hereby proclaim June 2024 as Pride Month in the City of Pembroke, encourage everyone in our city and surrounding areas to take advantage of this opportunity to build bridges of understanding, respect, and celebration. I make this proclamation to recognize the importance of diversity in our community. The City of Pembroke values and appreciates the contributions of all ethnicities, cultures, contributions, and in the month of June, we highlight the contributions of the LGBTQ2S+ community that they make in our city. I encourage everyone to join me as we celebrate an inclusive, safe, and welcoming community for all individuals. Bylaws. The first bylaw this evening is 2024-39. Councillor Lafreniere.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ian Keel, that bylaw 2024-39, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-44 as amended, being a bylaw to establish fees and charges on persons for payment of municipal services, activities, and use of municipal property for the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed. And further, that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. There you go.
Moved by Councillor Lafreniere and seconded by Councillor Keel that bylaw 2024-39, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-44 as amended, being a bylaw to establish fees and charges on persons for payment of municipal services, activities, and use of municipal property for the City of Pembroke be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Lafreniere?
Yes, this was covered at a past recreation meeting. It's the steps that are necessary that we take to make sure that we are recovering as much cost as we can for our facility use. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Next is bylaw 2024-40, tax rate reductions for this year. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Andrew Plummer, that bylaw 2024-40, a bylaw to set tax rate reductions for prescribed property subclasses for municipal purposes for the year 2024 and onwards be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Thank you. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Plummer, that bylaw 2024-40, a bylaw to set tax rate reductions for prescribed property subclasses for municipal purposes for the year 2024 and onwards be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Deputy Mayor?
This is a formality to confirm the subclasses for vacant land, excess land 0%, and so on. It's a regular budget item that we deal with this time of year. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next is 2024-41, Tax Levy 2024. Councillor Jacquino.
Thank you, Your Worship. Members of council, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Purcell, that bylaw 2024-41, being a bylaw to provide for a tax levy for the city of Pembroke for the year 2024 and to establish tax rates to raise same, be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation, and awaiting your signature, Your Worship.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jacquino, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that bylaw 2024-41, a bylaw to provide for a tax levy for the city of Pembroke for the year 2024 and to establish tax rates to raise same, be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Jacquino.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nobody likes taxes. They don't like them raised, but taxes are necessary to continue to fix infrastructure within our community. Tonight we had one project in the Carmody Street area in excess of $1.5 million. So we have to raise taxes to fix these ailing infrastructure problems. And these are quite old problems, but once they're fixed, they're going to be good for a long time. So we're thankful that the City of Pembroke residents understand the value of tax.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Next, we have motions. We have Resolution 2024-14. Councillor Keel.
You might want to sit down, Dave. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lafreniere. Whereas the assessment cycle is an essential process for maintaining the fairness and predictability of property taxes in our province, and whereas the pause in the reassessment cycle has created uncertainty and instability in property taxation, impacting both residential and commercial property owners, and whereas the government has delayed an assessment update again in 2024, resulting in Ontario's municipalities continuing to calculate property taxes using 2016 property values, and whereas both current and outdated assessments are inaccurate, increase volatility, and are not transparent, and whereas frequent and accurate reassessments are necessary to stabilize property taxes and provide predictability for property owners, residences, and businesses alike, and whereas the government has announced a review of the property assessment and taxation system with a focus on fairness, equity, and economic competitiveness, and therefore further deferring new property assessment, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pembroke hereby supports the City of Brockville and calls upon the Premier to promptly resume the assessment cycle to ensure the stability and predictability of property taxes while the government conducts its review of the property assessment and taxation system, or respond with an alternative method for every municipality in Ontario to achieve fair taxation, and that all municipalities in Ontario and their constituents are encouraged to apply pressure to the Premier daily, weekly, and monthly to resolve the situation, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Mr. John Yakubuski, Member of Provincial Parliament for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, and I would suggest that your worship can dispense with rereading that motion.
I was going to ask. Thank you, Councillor Keel. Councillor Keel, did you wish to speak to the motion?
I don't even know where it came from, so no.
So, so last month, Mayor, I had a conversation with Mayor Wren, so as it suggests, it comes from Brockville. So Brockville brought it forward for the very reasons that are indicated in the resolution, and I do appreciate staff bringing forward this particular resolution to try and cause the province to move forward on this particular matter for all the different reasons that are mentioned in the resolution. So having said that, I'd entertain or I'll call the question in relation to this particular motion. Those in favor? It is carried. Thank you. Mayor's report. So good evening, everyone. I wish to bring forward my mayor's report regarding invitations, appearances, and other matters. On May 21st, the CAO organized a meeting of residents, members of the 50-plus Centre, grind members, including board members, as well as Councillor Purcell and myself. This meeting was chaired by the Warden of Renfrew County, who graciously agreed to do so. Discussions were had regarding concerns and challenges. It's only with communication with all parties that disputes can be resolved, and I look forward to ongoing discussions and communication. On May 22nd, I had the pleasure to attend the MESA conference together with Councillor Purcell and our CAO. I cannot say enough about the positive things that this particular conference and the direction of where we are going. I'm going to leave it for Councillor Purcell to bring forward a report at a future time, but certainly was an excellent day. On May 29th, I had the pleasure to attend Options 2024. This was a great event to showcase all of the skilled trades. This is a great partnership with Algonquin College. It is always a pleasure to attend Options event and to see so many eager participants. Bravo to everyone. Later that day, I had the pleasure to bring greetings to the Grind Pembroke for their appreciation event. This year, the community raised more than $129,000 to allow them to continue to do the great work that they are doing. I was presented with a certificate for all members of council to recognize the contributions by the City of Pembroke. This further enables them to meet their mandate as they are recognized in the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. On May 30th, I had the pleasure to attend a meeting with the Renfrew County District Health Unit Steering Committee virtually. I very much appreciate Councillor Purcell, who is able to attend these meetings in person and provide continuity and insight to this particular committee. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our CAO, who makes time to attend many, many meetings, and thank you to you both. I believe that the silos are coming down and progress is happening on this particular issue regarding substance use. On June 1st, I was greeted by a number of children and adults at the Pembroke Public Library button making and story time kickoff for the kickoff of Pride Month. If there is nothing else that we can do in life, we should take the time to read to a child and encourage them to read. Education is the key for all of us. Today, we had a substance use committee, and there was great discussion. And as stated earlier, we are making progress to address substance use issues in our community. In respect to bulky item pickup, as was shared by the staff to the media, please retrieve anything that has not been collected. That collection is over, and please pick up the items that are at your curb to avoid any further action. Report from the Pembroke Handy Bus. To put it in context as to what's happening with the Pembroke Handy Bus, in May of 2023, the number of individuals picked up, there was 61 individuals in wheelchairs and 435 that were ambulatory. That's compared to this year, May, we're up to 81 individuals in wheelchairs, and ambulatory is up to 744, which is a growth of 329 trips for the Pembroke Handy Bus. Unfortunately, we have started this Sunday service, and it remains very low in terms of uptake. And if it is not properly utilized or sees better usage, it may be that the board will have to cancel this temporary Sunday service because simply there is not enough individuals utilizing that particular service. As always, I'd ask that everyone please stay safe and be kind to one another. Notices of motion. Seeing none, councillor updates. Okay, I have a few people. Councillor Lafreniere?
Yes, last night, the City of Pembroke hosted the Civic and Youth Awards celebration. And again, it was a huge success. I want to thank everyone who made this night happen, including those that nominated someone, the sponsors, and the members of council that attended. Last year, I forgot to announce that the mayor was there and asked him to speak, but I made it up to him last night because I forgot that Deputy Mayor was there, so that's okay. Sorry, Brian. I just want to say that it was bigger. Yeah, it was bigger and better. It was great, and I look forward to next year's celebration as well. Another event I attended, which was quite enlightening, was an evening of hope and recovery, Friday, May 31st. I went to the Empowerment Through Insight that was hosted at Zion Lutheran Church. It was hosted by The Grind, and it had 3 really interesting speakers. It was inspirational, thought-provoking, and the audience was quite a makeup of people. It was individuals suffering from addiction, who are actively in addiction. It was loved ones of addicts. It was recovered addicts. it was bereaved family members who have lost family members to addiction, and members of the general public. I saw individuals there that I just know in the community that were interested to listen to the stories of these individuals. And it was teary-eyed, you know, when people were explaining these individuals that were lost to addiction, members of our community that held jobs, that had children, had, you know, have still loved ones out there, you know, mourning their loss. And, you know, these events, a lot of times there's stigma attached to them, but I invite any one of you to go to them, and it's enlightening, and it was quite an almost a spiritual event. And I don't usually say it like that, but it really was. And we all came together, and it was quite an evening. So I want to thank the Grind and the Zion Lutheran Church for hosting that event. Thank you.
Councillor Purcell?
Thank you, Mayor. On May the 22nd, the County of Brantford, in conjunction with the Ottawa Valley Ontario Health Team, OVHT, and the Brantford County and District Health Unit hosted the Mesa Gathering, which officially launched this collaborative approach to compassionate care, building a healthier and more resilient community. There's about 140 people from organizations across Brantford County that came together to spark conversations about how to address the homelessness issues, the substance abuse, and the mental health issues that are close to home. Myself, Mayor Gerva, and CAO Unraw were also in attendance that day. The day consisted of hearing stories of individuals with lived experiences and presentations from various service providers, along with guest speakers from CBC reporter Omar Dagbagi, hope I got that right, and former president and CEO of the Shepherds of Good Hope, Deidre Freehart. The day was very informative and solidified the need to continue to work collectively to address these issues in our community. I attended a trivia night for the pool. The CAO and I were both in attendance. It raised approximately $7,000 for the Kinsman pool upgrades. Believe it or not, Chief Sal, Councillor Fernier, and Mayor Gerva were some of the answers to some of the trivia questions. So I did get those right. On the downside, it was simply your name. The downside is that my wife's team came in second place, and that's all I've heard about for the last 2 weeks, is that, you know, I'm smarter than you guys. So anyway, so it was a really interesting evening, and I just wanted to say a special thank you to the fundraising committee for their hard work, supporting the pool fundraising efforts, and thanks to all those in attendance for donating to the pool refurbishments. And I'm just so pleased to see, you know, so many supporters of the pool demonstrated by their financial commitment and support for our pool. I also attended the Nine and Dine golf fundraiser at the Pembroke Golf Club last week in support of the pool renovations as well. It was a very successful event. Didn't really get a tally in terms of the dollars that were committed to in regards to the pool upgrades. The steering committee for a meeting for Brantford County District Drug Strategy, the committee was utilizing a 4-pillar approach to address the integration of opportunities when it comes to, you know, drugs and substance abuse and you know, homeless issues, prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and community enhancement and safety and justice are those 4 pillars that we've dedicated working groups to address those concerns. The working groups will identify those issues and address gaps in mental health and addiction supports and services, with a full report expected later in the year. The upgrade on substance abuse in the area meeting, as Mayor Gerva talked about a little bit earlier in his update, is a follow-up from March 8th, April the 5th, and the May 8th meeting. We met this morning and we agreed to dissolve the substance abuse in the area committee. Now that the Brantford County District Drug Strategy, it's taking on the work of addressing the substance abuse, mental health concerns, as a majority of the participants are already engaged with the Ontario Health Team and Brantford County District Health Unit Community Drug Strategy meetings and working groups. So we've kind of dissolved that. And it's the same players that are actually at both meetings. So we decided for efficiency purposes that we would just focus in terms of the drug strategy committee instead of the update on substance abuse upgrades. Tomorrow morning I'll be attending the Warming Center Committee meeting. We're meeting tomorrow to review the final Warming Center report for 2023-2024. the warming center operations, and at that time, once the report is accepted by committee, I'll make it available to everyone. So busy, lots going on, and just again, I just wanted a big shout out to all the supporters of our pool initiative, and yeah, great job. Thank you.
You, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. This will be my final report on the rain barrel campaign. We sold 99 rain barrels. We always sell 99 or 100. Made about $1,000 for the community garden. Thursday we had delivery. I want to thank the Parks and Rec staff for allowing us access to the Pembroke Area Community Center activity room. Thursday morning they were delivered. Usually this is done on a Friday after 4 o'clock, but they came, and I want to publicly thank Ian Patterson, Kevin Cleese, and Mary Mercer for going and unloading all those barrels. Friday night we sorted them out, and Mayor Gervais was there with us again, sorting the barrels, and Saturday was our pickup day, and we had our friend Councillor Giacono show up again for a couple hours and bring us some help and some humor, and we had a great time. There's still some barrels left. If you have not received your barrel, you'll be getting a call by Friday for pickup instructions. Contact myself or Mayor Gervais. One thing about these barrels, this is our third campaign with the company, and I did 3 with the Kinsman Club years ago. I spoke to the owner, Larry Pomerantz, last week. They're from Stony Creek near Hamilton. They are recycled food containers from Greece and all these other countries with olive oil and olives in it. And he has containers parked at the port, and they recycle them and repurpose them as rain barrels. He had 80,000 in the yard when I spoke to him, and they sell all over North America. So not only are we helping us raise money for the community garden, which goes towards food bank plants and all that, you're also helping not dump in the plastic. So it's a great campaign. And we'll continue doing it until we get less rain barrels sold, or until I drop off the face of the earth. I want to thank everyone. Sunday, we planted the food bank garden at the Pembroke Community Care for Garden, and we also want to thank the donors. So we were there for 3 hours, 4 hours planting. And if you drive by, you'll see all our great. We're going to have 5 garden beds for the food bank and a big land garden. So we have everything there, and we welcome people to drive by and see. Sunday afternoon, my wife and I attended the Pride picnic at the Ottawa Valley Heritage Center, and it was well attended, and I want to thank the Pride Pembroke and all the sponsors and everyone who attended and all the displays. It was a great kickoff to Pride Month. I want to thank David Blaney and Mrs. Whitmore and the staff at the Pembroke Ottawa Valley Heritage Center for the Kinsman Club Connect Club display. I encourage everyone to go look at it. It's fabulous, and we want to thank the museum. It's very important. We have a museum and all the volunteers that go with it. On behalf of Councillor Purcell and myself, he's very humble. We have our annual giant book sale at the library this Saturday from 9 till 2:30, and Chef Purcell will be setting up the barbecue at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to show up and eat the first hot dog and help you cook. And that's from 9 till 2:30, and all the money raised towards the book sale goes towards a new book drop box. And we want to thank the Friends of the Public Library and the staff for organizing that. And then Councillor Purcell and I sit on the Multicultural Festival Committee, and that's Friday, July 19th, and Saturday. And Kathy Regimani and the staff have a fabulous lineup, working hard behind the scenes, and we're still looking for sponsors. So if anybody wants to sponsor, it's one of the premier events of the summer. And those are the reports, Your Worship.
Councillor Keel?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to reiterate again how great it was to attend the Civic and Youth Awards last night. I've said it before that volunteerism means so much to smaller cities and rural areas. It's really how we get a lot of what we have done and accomplished. And Councillor Purcell, of course, mentioned the fundraising and the amount of volunteer time that's going in to the pool campaign. is just another example. Maybe there'll be a civic award next year for the pool campaign, because I know they're spending a significant amount of time on that particular one. The Festival Hall Consortium met on Friday, May 31st. We're wrapping up, so in terms of the theater season, June is the end of the calendar year for the theater season. Certainly there's been a lot of shows. There's still 2 more here in June. On June 7th, there is Magic Men Australia. Not going into details on that one. There are still seats available up in the balconies. There are practically no seats left available on the main floor. And shortly after that, CDE Dance Recital on June 22nd. Again, the floor doesn't have many seats left, but there are some seats in the balcony. I am very happy to report that already between September and December, there's 9 shows scheduled in Festival Hall, including a handful of shows around the Christmas season, which is nice to see.
Don't forget announced Wayne Rodstad, Christmas in the Valley returning.
Is one of the Christmas shows. Is one of the Christmas shows in December. So I know last year I think there was one. The Symphony had a Christmas show that was sold out. So there's several this year. If December is already on your calendar. And I also just want to congratulate Jason Blaine, who the other night 2 CMA Ontario awards, one for Single of the Year and one for Songwriter of the Year for his song "The Road That Raised You Up." So of course Jason is a good young local guy, and his charity golf tournament is coming up later this month. So congratulations to him for bringing in a couple Ontario Country Music Awards back to the city.
Thank you. Councillor Jacquinot.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I was very pleased to attend the Civic Awards, and I want to thank Councillor Lafreniere and her committee. She worked very hard to make sure things were just perfect. And the plants were beautiful, and I'm just totally amazed by, as I was saying to His Worship last night, about the quality of youth we have in our community. And even the senior citizens, former Councillor Levasseur, who at 85 years of age is still going, still working, still helping. So it gives us some hope for the community, that we are an aging demographic, but people here work. They work together. They have the work ethic. I was rather moved by the CEO's comments of the library, Karthi Ramajani, when she dedicated her award to her staff. It was very humbling, and she's a very humble person, I believe. And the actual trophy was designed by Fred Blackstein's wife, based on the sundial that's at the marina. And she does a wonderful job. I go in there to get a certain book, and my wife says, "You were only in there 1 minute. How could you get a book so quickly?" But I go to the special, she's got a special display of books. And one of the books that I picked up was by Rick Mercer. This hour has 22 minutes. I think you remember that. And, I opened the first chapter, and what's he talking about? He's talking about the city of Pembroke. And I said, "Well, what's this?" And apparently he was in a pumpkin race, a large pumpkin race at Hughley's Berry Ranch. And I guess he was competing within, still, I remember our Parliament, Cheryl Gallant, despite her conservative efforts, I think her pumpkin sunk and took her with it. But he talks about the communities, how important small communities are across the country. And this was his first engagement before he started, I think, the show. This hour has 22 minutes. So Pembroke was his first one, and he speaks highly of the people that live in the community. And he also talked about the importance of small communities and volunteers. So I just thought I'd want to mention that. And, we're published. This gentleman has the Order of Canada, and he thinks a lot about our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is to move into a closed session. Councillor Purcell.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Jacquinot that the meeting become a closed meeting to discuss a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried out on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board as per section 239 2K of the Municipal Act regarding ORPC. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Purcell, second by Councillor Jacquino, that this meeting become a closed meeting to discuss a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or a local board as per section 239 sub 2 sub K of the Municipal Act regarding Ottawa River Power Corporation. Those in favor? That is carried. We will now move into a closed session.